There you
Cool.
go.
Hello, everyone. This is Alan and Naman here with another interview in our AAPI Heritage series. Thank you to everyone who's joining us, whether you're watching live or watching the VOD later. But we're here with Matt and John Yuan, the Yuan Twins, who I feel like they've done basically like everything there is to do in the world of comics and more. Like I know they like to say, they've like worked at a comic store, they've owned a comic store, they write comics, they draw comics, they edit comics, they've been actors, they do a little bit of it all. So why don't I let you guys introduce yourselves quickly to some of the audience.
Okay. I'm Matt. I am the I take the lead on Inspector O, and I've got a new one coming out hopefully later on this year or next year called Morphine Cowboys. John.
I'm Yuan. I take the lead on Lovetown, and I wouldn't say I take the lead on Declan and Chang or Serving Soups. I do a lot of I do the art on most of those, all of those, but in terms of just kind of like creative lead, I would say Lovetown is the one that I'm most personal with.
Cool. I mean that's already very interesting to me because I know you guys collaborate on so many of your projects. Like I guess what does it mean between the two of you for like one or the other to be like taking the lead on a project?
I would say that when we take a lead on a project, generally it's because the idea originated with one of us, and we operate sort of like this writing partnership where one of us writes the first draft and then the other one comes over and takes a look at it, does a light edit, depending on what it needs, and it evolves from there. But whoever originated the idea is going to have the final say on what goes into the book. So, like, if I had a suggestion for Lovetown, and it's infrequently, then John could sit there and say no because I've got plans for this to happen later on down the road. That doesn't make any sense. Or no, I prefer what I've got. Um, so generally, whoever's taking the lead on a project, they have final say because it's pretty much their vision and their.
Right. It's like their baby originally. Cool. Naman, I know we usually have like some sort of stuff up on the screen. Are we able to do that with StreamYard as well, or no?
Yeah. What you want me to put up something?
Yeah, maybe we can go to uh like just their Instagram page, and maybe like we can that way we can pull up some of the covers or the art while we're talking about stuff.
Let's see. Let's see if I could do that.
The first comics website would also be good.
Yeah, maybe that would be best. Let me here. Let me put the link.
I got it
In.
here. I got it here.
Yeah, because our Instagram page currently is filled with videos from the KJ Superdude semi-cross country.
Right. No, I want to ask you guys more about that as well once we get to that. But um yeah, well, but before we get there, like let's go back to the beginning a little bit with how you guys kind of got started in not just comics, but I guess like like entertainment and media as a whole. I think I read or heard at some point, like because I know you guys were actors as well, and you did that before comics. Is that correct?
Yes,
Or
Mm-hmm.
yes.
so do you guys want to just tell us a little bit just about your overall journey and how you got started?
We'll run the short version. We have always been fascinated with writing and telling stories. The art was mainly for ourselves, but when we came out to LA, we got jobs as production assistants, and got a movie produced, very low micro budget, straight to video one.
And when was
That-
that?
2004. And then in 2008, from 2004 to 2008, we were pretty much working post-production in reality TV. Matt met Jody Hill first, and when he got a deal with Warner Brothers, he gave us a call one day and was like, "Hey guys, so I wrote you guys a part," and it was literally that quote unquote easy, I guess, for us to become actors. It was awesome. It was a great opportunity. We loved it. Filmed Observe and Report, and then in 2012, Steve Stern, the co-creator of Zen Intergalactic Ninja, walked into the comic book store that we owned or co-owned and said, "Oh shoot, I didn't know you guys made comics," and introduced us to Ken F. Levin, and we joined First Comics around 2013, 2014, and that's how we broke in. There's a bit more involved. There's some stuff I left out in terms of the comic book stuff, but the acting actually was kind of that easy. I guess it's fate's way of saying, "Oh yeah, these two are characters."
Right. So, I mean, I feel like like people who are in comics, especially like on the editorial side, like tend to move like between companies like fairly frequently. But it sounds like you guys have basically like just been like very solid and consistent at First Comics. Then, if that was kind of like your entry point, and you guys are still with First Comics now.
Yeah. So First Comics is the reason we haven't, moved to any other companies is because First Comics is pretty much where we want to be. Just a little background for your viewers. First Comics is the oldest North American company, publisher of creator-owned comics. So when Ken started the company back in, I think, what was this, 82, 83?
Around there, yeah.
He was an entertainment attorney in Chicago, and he was acting as a go-between for the creators in New York and the movie makers in Los Angeles. And it dawned upon him that all these deals he was making, none of the creators of the characters that they were dealing with had any stake in these deals. And so he didn't think that made any sense. And at the time, you had Marvel and DC. That was it. And so he goes to these creators and he's like, "How would you guys like to own your creations?" And there was probably about a dozen people that he spoke to, and they were all like, "Oh yeah, that sounds exciting." But for a few of them, it was such a revolutionary idea that they just didn't get it. And they would say, "Okay, so what do you want me to write?" And he's like, No. You write what you want. And
Your own idea.
yeah, you own it, and we'll publish and we'll print it, and then we'll split the profits. And if it becomes a movie or a TV show, then you still own it, and you'll get a big piece of that. And even after explaining all that, there was still a handful of people who were like, "Okay, yeah, but what do you want me to do?" And it was so alien that they just went back to Marvel or DC. But a few of them did get it. So you've got like Howard Chaykin doing American Flagg. You've got
doing Badger. You have a lot of folks doing a lot of different titles, and that kind of helps, because it's like on the one hand, it lets us figure out, we get to go to find a bunch of different creators and sit there and say, "Oh shoot, you're doing steampunk really well, or you're doing, fantasy adventure really well, or whatever." And it lets us first put out a lot of stuff that you really wouldn't find out there otherwise. And so,
and for us personally, I mean, there's not a lot of other publishers out there that would sit there and say, oh, you want to do a book about process servers who only serve superheroes. Or, oh, you mean film noir but with magic? Like it doesn't compute in their superhero world. And certainly there weren't any publishers that were like back in, I want to say 2013 when we started, who were looking for that. You've got Image, they've got their people. Dark Horse certainly has their people. And they've got the stories that they want to tell, and they tell them well. But first really is telling those stories that no one else is telling. So we're very happy where we are.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's been a couple years, or more than a couple years now, since you guys were promoted to deputy publisher, and it kind of seems like from my perspective, it seems like like First Comics as a whole is kind of like on an upswing in terms of just like what you're doing, not just in terms of what you're publishing, but even the events like the like the what was the name for it, that the cross country like
Oh,
cool guy tour or whatever, like stuff like that. It just seems like you guys are like ramping up just everything you're doing in the last couple of years. So like from your perspective, like what is the trajectory that you feel that First Comics is on, and like where are you trying to maybe like aim toward in the next few years?
definitely it's on an upward swing. I think that we've managed to attract a lot of really, really good creators, really a bunch of new ones that are telling stories that aren't really out there. We want to give like one of our favorite things to do is when people at conventions come by and we ask them as a sales pitch, what do you like to read? And very few people will give a very specific answer. So it's always, well, a little bit of everything. It's like, that's perfect. That's what we got. And so we're trying to make ourselves that, that weird little corner store where you can only find, that weird Bolivian chocolate biscuit or that weird German, sausage. It's like we're the publishing house that publishes like weird stuff like Badger, or Space Negro, The Last Negro, which, is an absolutely great title. I like to think that we have the sort of vibe where everyone who's involved is excited to be there. And it's we're hoping within the next few years to like get it to where, people associate First Comics with those titles that they're like, oh my God, this is so cool. I don't know why no one did this before. And, kind of make a name for ourselves that way.
Right. Building up that name recognition, and I guess like it helps that you guys have like kind of the baseline of First Comics being like people know like the previous or like original iteration of First Comics, and now it feels like it's like coming back into the forefront of public consciousness again. So I mean, ever since you guys have kind of taken on a larger role in terms of becoming deputy publishers, like do you feel like that's made it harder to juggle like the creative aspects of comic book making, like the writing and the art side of things, or like are you able to balance it still?
The definitely the art side of things, just because, I mean, a page will generally take between 8 and 12 hours a day. So
Right.
it's hard to get that time together to work on it. So you're working on a page in maybe 2 to 4 hour chunks. I don't know that it's true for every artist, but I know that from a personal standpoint, I like to start a page and then finish it, just get it done all the way through, because you build up a rhythm and you get into the groove, and if that gets interrupted, then it becomes a hassle. But what about you, John? How do you deal with it?
I scream a lot. Seriously, I stay up late. You know, I mean, Matt does too. We both. I mean, we both have horrible sleeping habits just because it's like, oh, you know, it's quiet. No one's bothering us at like, you know, 2 a.m. And so from 2 to 4 we write, or, you know, we sketch or we draw or whatever. I find it not too interfering though. I mean, like, just it's mainly the mechanical stuff, you know, getting and Matt deals with that more than I do, which is, you know, getting stuff to the distributor. You know, here's the, you know, the little blurb for the thing. Here's a little preview picture, stuff like that, setting it in the right format, blah blah blah. I found though that like when it comes to like editing, everyone is always so different that it's actually kind of fascinating to like, you know, to take a look at. Like Mike Barron's scripts they're so evocative that when you read them, you're kind of like, whoa, hold on a minute, you know. And that's the real danger, is you know, like basically getting sidelined because you're like, oh shoot, this is really cool to read. You know, oh my gosh, you know, this is so awesome. You know, that's what really takes time away, is because whenever we attempt to edit something, we're reluctant to say this is what I would do. We think that's kind of a not good thing to say as an editor. Our friend Jared Sams basically was like, yeah, you know, if you're editing, your point should be to try to make whatever story you've been given the best story it can be. So if, like, you know, we'll say some guy named Chuck turns in a story about knights and dragons, you don't sit there and say, well, I like spaceships and I like, you know, monsters, so let's emphasize the dragon and maybe throw in some sci-fi, because that's garbage. You sit there and say, okay, you know, what message you're trying to impart, what stories you're trying to tell, and make it the best possible combo of both, you know. And so that can divert my attention a little bit because I'm giving a lot of attention to someone else's work. But for the most part, since the books that come in are complete, we don't have to worry about that too much.
Right. And I mean, I know what you mean about like also like how time consuming or difficult like the mechanical parts of the process is. Like I you know, I have much less experience with like the overall pipeline than you guys do, but even in my limited experience, it's really wild like how many different little things you need to do that like you wouldn't have thought of. But like when you're making the thing, you're responsible for every little piece of the puzzle, right? Like whether it's like the fifth blurb you have to write for like, you know, some different version of the website, or like the designing the graphic for like the spine of the book, you know, like so many things like that, where it's like, I mean, individually they're simple enough, but it really all adds up.
Well, you got to worry about your audience, because one time we were trying to come up with a blurb for you know, or a pitch for Space Negro, and you know, it's an absolutely brilliant book, but you know, you get effusive with your praise, people think you're being disingenuous. But so we're like, keep it short, keep it sweet, keep it ways that people can understand. And so I'm like, oh heck, this is great, you know, Blazing Saddles meets this. And Jared reminded me, he's like, most of the people we're talking to are like maybe in their 20s and 30s. They don't know what Blazing Saddles is.
I don't know what Blazing Saddles is.
What?
And I'm like, you know, Matt, I'm old.
You don't know what Blazing Saddle is?
Just to give you guys another data point.
Yeah, see, that's what we're talking about.
Oh my goodness. I feel old, or are you guys feeling the same?
Yeah. We tried to tell someone, okay, so you don't know Blazing Saddles. Do you know Tropic Thunder? And the blank look on their faces was horrible. And we're like, how old are you? They're like, I'm 20. Like, oh God.
these guys were in Arrested Development, but nobody knows Arrested Development here, I bet.
That was like not very long ago.
Yeah.
I mean, they say like movies set in the 2000s are period pieces now. So there's that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole process. One of my favorites was we were putting together a print ready PDF for Space Negro, I think number 3, and it was getting to be pretty close to the deadline, because deadlines are meant to give you that last minute panic attack.
Oh yeah, I understand that all too well.
It's like Halloween. It doesn't sneak up on you. Everyone knows it's coming. But I put together their PDF, and I'm like, why are all of the odd number pages like so like tiny? Like they're just not.
They're like 5 kilobytes.
And it turned out like the resolution was just like 75 dots per inch, and I'm like,
but only on the right side pages.
Yeah, for some reason, we had received the art files. Like the art files had been exported in such a way that like the even number pages were 75 dots per inch. I don't know how that happened. Like if I tried to do that on purpose, it would take me 3 hours. On that, so it took us 2 days to fix that, because artists are difficult to deal with. And we're allowed to say that we draw our own books for a reason.
Yeah, we like to make a joke that as writers, artists, and editors, when something goes wrong, we kick our own asses.
Let me ask you guys something about this here. What is this?
Which one?
Which one?
What is this E-Man?
Oh, and is a comic, I think, from the 70s. It was originally.
I mean, I know what it is, but I'm wondering what is it doing in your catalog?
Oh, it was. Yeah, I mean, I guess it was originally. Was it Charleston?
Charleston.
Yeah. Charleston, yeah.
Yeah. But
well, a little bit of trivia. E-Man and Badger are the only 2 properties that First actually owns, like as opposed to having the rights to, because when Charleston decided to remove itself from the marketplace, First way back in the 80s like bought E-Man and Badger. So, but even then, anything new, like Badger being a prime example, anything new, we try to make sure that the original creators are the only ones who touch it. Like, so Badger, I believe no one has written except Mike Barron.
He picks the artist, and he approves everything. But yeah, E-Man was originally Charleston, which was a distributor. The retailers got really bent out of shape because they're like, wait a minute. As a distributor, that's a conflict of interest, because if we don't order a whole bunch of your E-Man books, then that becomes an irritant to you, and you cut us off from like the Primo books. And so we would rather just not deal with you at all. And so Charleston's like, we don't want to have that problem. We thought you guys were going to be cool about it, but we're wrong. So, yeah, First Comics snatched that up, and a few other titles. I think, yeah, Badger was another one. But those are the only 2 I'm for certain were purchased by First.
Cool. Wow. Obviously, you guys been around for a long time. If Sleepy Reader knows you guys.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, so First Comic still exists.
Sleepy Reader 666 says First Comic still exists. The answer is yes, we do. To answer that particular question, First was bought out, like, I think, Matt, in the 90s?
91 or 92.
Yeah, was bought out in the 90s. A bunch of investment types took it over. We know how that plays out. Ken got it back in, I think, 2003, 2004, and started publishing back up again around 2011, 2012. So to
So same corporate entity, same people. It is that's why we still lay claim to being the oldest publisher of creator-owned properties in North America.
Yes, I
Yeah.
mean, sounds like you guys like came in pretty close to the beginning of when Ken was getting started with everything again. If you guys came on board, what you said, like 2013 ish.
2013, I think. Serving Soups was published in 2014. So we were there fairly early. Not the earliest. I think we were just we were very lucky to meet Steve Stern, have him walk into our store. We were very lucky that at the time I was working on our self-published book. Like, we had art table set up and the art board was out and I was busy inking it. So it was a massive convergence of like just really great events that turned into an opportunity that we just took and ran with it.
Yeah, I mean, like there's a saying that has really stuck with me, which is that luck is when preparation meets opportunity, and then it sounds like that's what it was, right? Because I mean, you were there, like literally working on the book, right? And
Yeah.
it's like you have to put yourself in positions where you can get lucky, essentially.
Absolutely.
And once you're doing that, it's kind of just a matter of time until something happens. Either that or you're like just unlucky rather than lucky.
Well, I want to say that that's one of the things, preparation meets, opportunity, is that one of the things that we're always telling people if they want to get into comic books is if you have a comic book and you have a character or a story or whatever, there are three things you never say. You never say, I don't know, when someone asks you a question. You don't sit there and respond with the question of, what do you think? And you'd never offer to say, oh, I can get rid of that. Never do that. If it's your story, if you can't justify anything, being there, you have more learning to do,
I would
say don't apologize for it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
just know your, basically. Just know your material and make sure that everything has a purpose for being there. One of the things that we had a lot of experience with is reading screenplays. And there's always one scene that just doesn't make sense. It doesn't need to be there. And if we ever had a chance to talk with the writer, we would say, so that scene where the main character goes to get a soda, why is it there? Now, depending on what they think the power dynamic is, if they think that we're somehow in a position to get this screenplay made, they will immediately say, oh, you don't like it? It can go away. Well, now all of a sudden, what that tells us is that that scene doesn't need to be there. And so how much else of your script or comic or whatever is dead weight? So you cannot defend a scene in your work. It puts everything else into doubt. So don't do that. If you can even sit there and say something as simple as it's character development. It gives the reader a chance to relate to this otherwise fantastical hero. Like, you just saw this hero mow his way through 200 mob soldiers, and he stops to get a soda. We all have that time where we're just tired and all we want to do is have something bubbly to drink. Have an answer for
I was gonna say, or say it's product placement,
The other thing I would add to that is never say no. Don't necessarily say yes, because getting into comics or entertainment, period, is a numbers game. And you tell somebody no without hearing them out, congratulations. That is an opportunity you might have missed. I don't care who they are, unless they're asking something from you, then you can say no all day long. But if you're looking for something and someone comes along and let's say they're a small publisher and you had your eyes set on Marvel or DC, don't tell them no. They might be the people that you want to work with. You never know. At least hear them out. But never just out of hand tell someone to go take a hike. It's probably a bad idea.
Yeah, something I've heard said, like also like in the context of film and TV, is just like take the meeting essentially. Like
Yeah.
there are a lot of those meetings where, you know, regardless of, I guess, like which side of the power dynamic on, like, you know, whether you're like, you know, whichever side you're on, like sometimes there's you know, a potential meeting where you think, well, like most likely this won't lead to anything, right? And even if that's true, it's like, but you know, you I like kind of, again, I guess it's like putting yourself in situations where you can get lucky or you can get something to happen, and you just have to um put yourself out there. I think doing conventions is a little bit like this too, where like the vast majority of conventions you go to as a small creator, like they're probably not going to be super worth it financially, but like you never know like how many times you might have to put yourself out there before, you know,
Yeah.
like something happens because you were there.
You know, conventions are amazing. We love them because you get to meet, like, okay, so other than San Diego, which, you know, is in and of itself a great event, not flagging it at all, but San Diego, more than any other convention, has those scenesters who are like, I have to be there because if I'm not there, then I'm nobody, and they're not really interested in anything other than being seen. But other conventions, they're perfect because that is an audience of people who are just looking for something different. You know, I mean, certainly they have their fandoms and they are looking for, Battle Angel, Alita, or Spider-Man, or Batman, or whatever. But your product may very well, match that Venn diagram of, that overlap where they're like, oh my gosh, wait a minute, that has, the philosophical leanings of, Full Metal Alchemist and the action of Batman. I gotta have this. You never know where you're going to find your fans, and so like, it can be scary putting yourself out there. Certainly our first convention was a friggin' disaster. I think we had like,
Oh yeah,
we had like 2 books and no displays. I was like, it was awful. No, our second, because our first one did actually okay. It was Long Beach, but the second one was WonderCon, and we screwed the pooch on that one. And because we didn't know what the heck we were doing, but everything since then has been great. There've been a bunch of great cons out there.
yeah. I feel like those early, cons and panels and everything, they're all a bit of a learning experience. Like I've had my share of doing panels where like literally nobody showed up, or one or two people show up, and the one that had 2 people show up was like worse than when nobody showed up, because when nobody showed up, like I like didn't have to do anything, but it was just, but then when there's like 1 or 2 people there, it's like you kind of still have to do it, except it's super cringe and awkward. So yeah, that was an experience.
We had an early one. I can't remember where it was at, but like maybe 4 people showed up. And the way around that is you tell everyone to move a little bit closer and you say, okay, I have this whole spiel going on. I'm just going to start talking. Whenever you have questions, feel free to just dive in. And it wound up actually being pretty good. I think that one of the major problems that I've seen with a lot of panels is that, let's say the topic is writing for comics. A lot of people will wind up talking about themselves. And it's like the panel is not artist A or writer B. It's writing for comics. And so if you don't address the topic, you're not, none of the panelists is the star of the panel. It's the subject, it's the topic. And if you don't address that, you have a cruddy panel. And so some of the best ones we've ever been to were when the creators up on the stage totally subsumed themselves to the topic at hand, and we're like, no, if you're gonna be drawn for comics, you got to do A, B, and C. And occasionally they throw in personal anecdotes to make it interesting. But we've noticed that the more we stay on topic, the more and more our audience grows year after year. So,
right, that makes a lot of sense, because I mean, there are plenty of those panels where the focus is specifically about the creators, or the cast of this IP or whatever. And in those cases, it makes plenty of sense for the for the focus to be on them. But it definitely would feel like, as an audience member, you feel a little bit robbed if you're going there to presumably learn about something, and you're just hearing the panelists promote their stuff.
Yeah.
One of the worst panels I was ever on. I was just one of 5 writers, and they were like, how to write for television. And I was not there as a writer for television. I was there as a writer for comic books, but as an actor, I think they thought I had insight. It's like, cool. But the writer, one of the writers, he was rightfully very excited because he had just been hired for his first gig in a writer's room, and he was super happy about it. And everyone was very happy for him, but he gave no insight as to what it was that got him into that writer's room. He just talked about how great it was to be in a writer's room. And we're like, that's great. We're very happy for you. But what did you do to
get in?
And the other writers were very gracious with their time, and they're trying to steer the conversation back. And every time someone asked a question, he was like, yeah, that reminds me of this great thing that happened to me. And we're all like, oh my God, we're happy for you, but shut up.
Yeah, something about panels is I think I didn't appreciate until I got to do a couple of them, is that when you're in the audience, because you see all the panelists sitting as a united front, it's easy to assume that they're just a little bit more in sync with each other, right? But then when you're on the panel side, you realize a good number of panels you are meeting the other panelists for the first time as you're walking up to the panel, essentially. And then you're kind of just giving a public speech or performance all of a sudden with these people who you don't really know that well. And I mean, I feel like I haven't had any really awkward experiences, but yeah, you could just be stuck up there for an hour with someone saying whatever, and you're also affiliated with them to some extent, right? So it's it can be awkward. I can see.
I mean, I'm sitting there trying to talk about how we got into movies and stuff, which again, John and I are probably the worst people to talk to about that. And I tried to warn the organizers of the panel that winning the lottery is not a strategy for your entry into the world of entertainment. But she was like, no, it'll be fine. And I'm like, it's not fine. I can't sit there and say, oh yeah, John and I, we were goofy looking and funny, and so this guy put us in his movie. That doesn't work. And so you have to spin it in a way that's kind of helpful, and then turn it into like you said, it's all preparation. Yeah, I could sit there and say that John and I were just goofy looking idiots, but the fact remains is that we weren't afraid to be ourselves in front of people. One of them happened to be a filmmaker. One of them happened to get his movie into Warner Brothers. So that's how you spin it, right? But this other guy, he just didn't give a crap.
Right.
And
I think when it comes to giving advice for like, I mean, how to break in as an actor or writer or whatever, or anything in entertainment, it's really difficult because so many of the ways that an individual can break in does feel like winning the lottery in some way, you know? Like because it's like for most people you kind of have to be grinding away for, years or decades until you eventually get that lucky break. And when that happens, it does, it feels like winning the lottery to some extent, but there's almost always some unique factors of the process that like don't translate well to like um what other people can do, right? Like for me, like how I got my first direct market credit with Oni Press this year. It started with me connecting with an editor at Oni Press, and the way I connected with her was I realized that we had a mutual like a mutual friend on Instagram. So I reached out to my friend, and it turned out that she and this editor were like they took a they take a wushu class together, and
nice.
that's just like such a random like connection.
Oh yeah.
And it's, like, so what I guess like what I would be able to tell people is like, you have to be working on your craft. You have to look for those networking opportunities as they arise. But like what I can't tell people is like, oh yeah, just like look for your friends like wushu classmates to see if you can get in that way, because like, so everyone's individual experiences, it's so like you can't really recreate it for other people.
Everyone's like a D&D adventure. They have their own unique way of accomplishing their quest. But I had a question from Ron Helton.
Yeah, we can put this on.
Nathan.
Sorry if I got that wrong. My eyesight's terrible for small print. But do the organizer Comic-Cons invite you, or do you offer to show up? A little bit of both. Most of the times we just buy a table at Artist Alley if we have something to offer. If you're going to do that, make sure you're reasonably, confident of making the money back. Don't spend $2,000 on a table when you only have one book. That's if organizers and they're like, oh hey, I like your book, yeah, I'll get you a table, make you a guest. That doesn't happen as often, but sometimes organizers will say, hey, you're cool, I like your book, I like you, you've got a great personality, and you'll make the con memorable. They may comp you a table.
A lot of conventions are also plugged into your local retailers. So if you're friendly with a local shop that therefore is friendly with a convention, there's always someone who knows someone if you're looking to get invited.
Yeah. What Alan was saying about networking, you network.
Yeah, exactly. The best piece of advice I've ever heard about networking was from a writer, David Avalone. I think he works for Dynamite right now. But he said, approach networking like you're making friends. And if your friends can happen to get you work, perfect. But in the short run, at least you've made a friend, right? And I think that is brilliant advice, because to be completely honest, publishing is a tough gig right now. The internet has really hurt print publication. And so every publisher out there is pretty much looking for an excuse not to work with you. They've got their people that they go to because they know they can work with them. It's a very small market. But if they like you, your odds don't get worse if they like you, right? So I think that David's advice is pretty spot on. Just approach networking like you're making friends. And you don't want to be working with people you don't like anyway.
Yeah.
So So
Yeah,
that's
that's
approach it.
yeah, so true. Fanbase Press does this weekly like public Zoom every Saturday for just comic creators and people in the community, and I try to attend those when I can, and David Avalone is often there as well. So I'm familiar with him, and I feel like he often has great insights for this sort of stuff.
You know what?
Yeah.
I think this is a very funny first contact page.
Oh,
Yeah, first contact.
So welcome to our community page. First contact. Not that kind of first contact. There are no aliens here that I can speak about. If you have any question about space, see Neil deGrasse Tyson. We only the questions about first comics. So
Yeah.
I was hoping that I was going to ask you guys about space
About
and time.
aliens.
That's an intergalactic ninja, so there's that. Yeah. For Jared Sams is good. He actually did quite a bit of research for his book, so.
But that's so this is this way to contact you guys, huh?
That's right. Very good way of contacting us, because it will get to the people that it needs to. So if you sit there and say, "Hey, I've got a game about question about games," it'll be forwarded to the first games people. If it's about comics, it typically comes to us. A lot. Sometimes it takes us a little while to respond. We try to be prompt, but it doesn't always happen. So, but if we get a letter from you, we will answer it eventually.
That's the first guarantee.
That's I think it'd probably be I think do they have to be professional, or can a funny guy contact you guys?
The thing that we really ask is that so generally speaking, we're not taking pitches. So if you just have an idea, save everyone's time. We just don't have the time to shepherd you through the entire process. We're really only taking, at this point, completed projects, because in the past there have been things that kind of, the wheels came off the wagon, and it was a lot of time for nothing. So we try not to accept anything until after it's ready to go, which may seem a little counterintuitive, but that's the way publishing works.
Do you lean toward the comic books that I just seen so far? Kind of weird and
we'll take it. The only thing we really don't consider are superhero comics. We've had a bunch of people try to sit there and say, "Oh, it's like The Boys," and it's like, well, okay, doing your research, Ken is one of the executive producers on The Boys, but it doesn't mean that because of that he's looking for the next Boys. He already has The Boys, right?
Yeah.
And also, if it's not a deconstruction of superheroes, it's already been done and probably pretty well by Marvel and DC. So there's no point. I mean, like, Serving Soups was a bit of an outlier there, but only because the main premise was not deconstructing superheroes. It's more of a workplace comedy. It's about 5 friggin' idiots who are dumb enough to serve superheroes corporate documents. So it's not really about the superheroes. So that's about all we won't take. And then we also won't take anything that is that bears a passing resemblance to something we're already doing. So, like, a good example would be Zen Intergalactic Ninja. He's this blue alien with no mouth, big eyes, and he wanders around doing ninja and bounty hunter stuff. Well, if you were like, "Hey, man, I have this great idea. It's, Bongo the Alien," and goes around, we would probably say no, because it's a little too close to what we are already publishing.
So yeah, nothing close to what we're doing, and no superheroes.
Okay, so that kind of reminds me of a shopping mall. You know, shopping mall wants vendors to come in.
Yeah.
But if you want to have too many hamburger vendors, then it's we already got a couple hamburger vendors. You know.
Yeah. Exactly. Except
So
we do it out of respect for our creators, as opposed to saturation of market.
well, I mean, shopping mall has to consider their vendors too, because if we put the hamburger shop, then they all cannot compete, right? I mean, they all lose. So yeah, so I see it. I see that.
I feel like sometimes I've seen two GameStops in the same mall, and I always wonder why.
Well, they probably have instead, because they cannot afford a one big space, they may split into two space. But so it sounds like it'd be prudent for us to, if we want to do business with you guys, is be aware of what comic books that you guys accepted so far, and not try to compete with that, at least.
Yeah. We had somebody who tried to sell us on a book that was very similar to RRH, and I tried to explain to them. I said, it's a very good book. You know, I don't have any problems with it other than it's RRH. You know? So we can't do that. And then we had someone else, and they tried to do their interpretation of Lovetown, which was obnoxious. And
they because part of our pitch is magic is kind of like a performance enhancing drug. It will take its toll out of you, right? That's part of the thing of Lovetown. Magic is no darn good. And this one was, no. Magic was literally a drug. Like, someone was like, oh, here's fairy dust, I'm going to snort it. And it's like, that's not clever. And, and the fact, it was not good. So it's like, no, not.
Gotcha. The, so if, if he said, let's say so you want somebody who completed their work, and you want somebody that completed their work, you want somebody that doesn't, I mean, probably one other hamburger shop is probably okay, but you probably don't want to offend. I mean, you had a huge team, I noticed. Mm-hmm. You had a huge team. What is a huge team at? Oh, that's games. I'll click on the games.
The games is a whole other beast, and those guys are really turning out some good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So First Comics has quite a crew, and we're very lucky to be working with them. Felicity is our director of retailer outreach. So if you own a store and you have not heard from Felicity, drop us an email, and she will put you, and we will put her in touch with you.
Right.
Yeah, and trust us, those twins are a pain in the rear end.
Yeah. Those two, I mean, for crying out loud, if they had one throat, I would strangle it. Otherwise, it's just too much.
Yes. So a little bit of trivia. Lovetown. It was originally done in black and white with Zipatone, and then John was like, "Oh, but the cover is black, white, and red. We should do the whole book in black, white, and red." And my idea was that no, the art already looks great. Like, we don't need the red, and I could not have been more wrong. Again, that's why John's in lead that project. He knows exactly what he wants. And so had I been far too stubborn, it would have just been straight up black and white and not red.
Yeah, I think that the red on it looks incredible.
I agree. Like I feel foolish for ever having argued against it.
So this is you got is this volume 1?
Yeah.
How many volume you got?
It's 0. That one is issues 0 through 4. I have 2 more issues planned and then before volume 2 comes out. But I have another 7 volumes outlined. So, I mean, because it's easier for me to outline than to actually write and draw the darn thing. But that having been said, it's a story that I'm definitely working on. I intend to keep it up. It's the pace of output has been glacial, but that's on me. Just so your listeners know, I am working on a Lovetown novel, simply because I came up with a story that would have taken too many issues to illustrate. It would have been like 20, 25. And so I'm working.
Wow.
That we're hoping to have it be illustrated, like, at least one illustration per chapter. So pretty soon, and then there's some other stuff that is like kind of in the embryonic stages regarding it, but we'll see how that develops.
Yeah, it's very exciting. I think, I mean, like, it's one of the amazing parts of having your own story as an IP is that you get to explore like all the different like mediums that you can kind of pivot it into as well.
Definitely.
Well, we're wrapping up on the hour, but I wanted to ask a couple more questions. So that cross country tour, what's next on the docket for that? I think you guys are kind of taking this is like a little bit of like an intermission in the tour, but like what's the schedule for that looking like?
So the KJ Superdude semi-cross country comic book creator signing riot type event is our cross country view. You can check it out on Instagram. We basically had a daily video diary of the entire thing. We're taking the month of May off mainly just to like kind of catch our breath, but I think that we are, not Matt and me personally, first is going to be attending Amazing Las Vegas in Las Vegas at the end of May.
So you guys won't be coming to Amazing, or who will be there?
Ken, the Philbox, and Steve Stern will be there.
Cool, because I'll probably drop by to that at least. So I guess I can say hi to Ken in person.
Definitely
in that case.
Talk to you about that. But then early June, we started back up again. Matt and I and Jared Sams will be at Phoenix Fan Fusion. Matt and I will be going cross country. The only confirmed appearance we have right now is Green Door Collectibles in Arkansas. And I believe Jared Sams is going to be attending the American Librarians Association conference in Chicago in late June. So we might have some more. We're working on other appearances in like Texas, Oklahoma, stuff like that, but haven't pinned anything down just yet. But June, and then that's in June, and then July.
Oklahoma.
Definitely going to have San Diego Comic-Con.
Right. Is there what's the lore behind the name, by the way?
It's just
so Ken's dog is named Kowalski.
Okay.
And as with any other pet owner, like, he morphed that into KJ. We don't know the origin of KJ. I think John added Superdude, so it's turned in. So Kowalski turns into KJ Superdude, and we decided that since we were going on this tour, that we would give it a suitably grandiose name. And so if you scroll down on our Instagram page, you'll see a graphic for the whole tour. which is Kowalski's face with like these patriotic angel wings and like these semi trucks like acting as a vanguard. It's do we have the picture for
First, it's on First Comics.
Okay.
I don't think we have it up here, which is weird because I should have, but or the First Instagram account. But yeah, so
First Instagram is correct. Okay.
yeah.
First Instagram. Where is it at?
I think this
Look,
one.
First Comics on Instagram.
Yeah.
Huh? Oh, Instagram. First Comics Instagram.
Yeah.
You,
Yeah.
you have a link?
Here, I got it. I got it.
Yeah.
I have the put it in the private chat here.
Okay.
This is a link to the specific poster they were talking about, actually. Did you see it?
Hold on. Yeah, I see it. Give me a second.
But it's been a great way of meeting people because like so many stores are so friggin' cool. Like Albuquerque, relatively small town, or not town. I mean, it's a big city, but as far as big cities go, it's relatively small compared to, let's say, Los Angeles or New York. But I mean, we only had like so much time to go to, like, after we were in a convention there, we only had so much time to visit around and stuff like that. And we ran into 4 really great stores. It was like Astro Zombies, Comics Warehouse, Scum Pit Comics, and Don's Books and Records. They're way more than that. And like, but those 4 like were just so like they each had their own character. They each had their own feel and vibe and stuff. And then we visited Cab Comics and Flagstaff, and Alternate Realities in Las Vegas. And like, we're just scratching the surface there. So it was also partially a way for us to sit there and say, what stores can we discover, in person? Like a lot of them, Felicity will have spoken to over the phone. But like, that's not the same as sitting there going, hey, let me visit this, thing in this place in person.
Right. I mean, yeah, I think there's a lot of the magic of comic book stores that has to be experienced in person, and the smell of the dollar bins and all that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, the dollar bins are freaking dangerous because you're like, oh shoot, I need this. Oh heck, this looks cool, and you're like, you walk out like $50 poorer.
Yeah, and there's some. I actually I went on a mini tour of some of just the local Vegas stores this last weekend. Some of the ones that I hadn't been to, and there are some that you walk into and they just have like boxes and boxes everywhere, and it's like it's exciting but also intimidating because it's like, oh, like it would take me like at least a day to like be able to look through all of these.
Before you guys want to stay for the duck race?
What is the duck race?
I'm always up for a duck race. Why not?
Sure, why not?
So what I'm going to do is we have people who participated today. Ron right down there. Ben Compton. And then where showed up?
Sleepy Reader.
Sleepy showed up.
Yeah, Brian LCS was here.
Brian and Golden Sisk. He's new for me. Golden Sisk. That one. Then let's see. Do I got everybody?
I think you got it.
All right. All right. That's done. So that's 5 ducks. And what they're going to win is... What they're going to win? What they're going to win is this one right here. The Lovetown Volume 1 hardcover. All right. So, sometime if we Ben's making sure he's here. Yeah, you're here. You're hiding in there. You're hiding in the in the background. Let us know so that you're in the duck race. I'll give you 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. All right. So the duck race is gonna run for, let's say, 30 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah, just so you guys have some context. Like Naman does like these like giveaways sometimes, like when people come on the stream, and the winners are determined through duck race.
There's fairer or more entertaining way.
Exactly.
Set. All right. How many shuffle? How many shuffle?
Whoa, Sleepy's pretty punk rock.
Yeah, to give it 3, I guess.
Yeah.
3 shuffle. Okay, 3 shuffle. 1, 2, 3. All right. Ready?
It changes their design too. All right, let's see it.
Let's see it.
Woohoo!
You guys hear that? Oh, I didn't hear. Let me see if I can hear that.
I wonder how many different duck designs they have.
Oh, let's see. You got the duck body, or like the skin, so that's 1. The hair, that's 2.
I don't think you can hear it.
3, so
Yeah, they have different like head accessories.
Yeah.
Brian!
Oh, whoa,
Brian wins
whoa.
again.
That was
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he was running away with
I
it.
think
at the end.
Brian. I mean,
well, it's that ninja mask. That's like
so.
there.
All right, Brian. Thanks.
Oh man, Ron, I'm sorry about your duck, man.
I don't like my duck. Oh well, that's good. All right, that was yeah. So I think Brian, this is second win for Brian, but
Oh wow! He's just the master of duck races. Cool. Well, thank you, Matt and John, for coming and chatting with us. It's been a pleasure. And do you guys have like anything else you want to shout out for the coming months in terms of events or releases, or?
Just keep an eye on either our Instagram page or the First Comics Instagram page for updates on the tour. Don't miss us at Amazing Vegas, us, the company. And for all of you creators out there, just keep at it. Make the books for you. Don't chase trends or audiences. If you make it for you and you legitimately like what you've got, you're going to find your audience. So don't worry about that. Just make your art.
Now, let me ask you one more thing before you go. If someone started a Kickstarter, right? And they say, you know what, this is not the route. I want to see if I could work with you gentlemen. Can they do that?
Once again, just contact us through the First website. Completed project. We're more than happy to take a look at it.
Good. All right. I'm not asking for myself. I'm just asking for the crowd. All right. Thanks for showing up, guys. Thanks for the time, gentlemen. I'm sorry we didn't get to talk more about the what's that? Arrested Development. That's one of my favorite comedy. I don't know where I'm going to find you. What episode? 3rd, 4th?
It was season 5, yeah.
I think it was season
5. Season 5. Okay.
IMDb will have the information because the only episode of a series that I know is Marvel Agents of Shield because it's easy. It's season 7, episode 7. Like else, I'm just.
All right, now I'm gonna have to watch the Shield 7 now. I mean, Shield.
It's fun. It's fun.
All right.
right.
Thanks, guys, showing up
Thank you so
in the
much.
chat.
Yeah, thank you for everyone watching.
Take care.